Greetings. The purpose of this video is to explain how to extract the needed components from the cheap RC car to be used in the high-power edition of the Turtle Shell Racer. So here we have our cheap $12 RC car, which we got from Walmart, and it is the best that China can offer for $12. The parts we're going to be extracting are the tires and elements of the front steering. First, we need to get it out of the box. Now we have the RC car and its remote. Now since we're only using the tires and elements of the steering, and it'd be nice to save the rest of this $12 investment for some future project, I like to take the two wires from the antenna and the car and tie them together. This way in the future I know which little remote that came with which little car. Because while the remotes are marked with what channel they're on, the cars are not. Okay, so the piece we want first off is the tires. So we're going to take off these rear tires. They just pull right off. That's one, two. Now these two rear tires will get put on the rear drive tires of the high-powered Turtle Shell Racer. The front is just a little more complicated. First, we need to break off this little pull tab. And then, using a flathead screwdriver, just kind of persuade it to come out of its place in the front of the car. Oh, I'm sorry. First you have to take out these two screws. That will greatly simplify the level of persuasion that needs to be used. There's two screws, one located sort of at the knuckle where each wheel attaches. That's one. And that's two. Okay, now it should just come right out. Now, there's this little clip holding the motor in. This is the motor that drives the movement of the steering. Just unclip that motor and let it slide out. So we're now left with the unused portion of the $12 RC car and the front steering. We're going to set this aside, and we're not going to use any of the rest of this remaining part of the car for this project. I would recommend holding on to it though, because there is a fairly low power, but fairly useful 2-channel RC remote in here, which could be useful someday. Now, on to the business at hand. So what we need here are the front wheels, front tires, this piece here, which is actually the control arm, and then these two clear plastic pivot points. Everything else is kind of secondary. To get the pieces we need out, we need to locate the clips around the outside. So there's one here, and then there's two of them on either side of these little pieces that hold the tires on. A nice little flathead screwdriver can be really useful for persuading those clips to come off. Now remember, we're not putting this back together, and it's not really going to be particularly useful for anything else once we've extracted the parts we want. So feel free to be not very delicate while extracting. Just protect the parts you need, which once again are the tires, this control arm, and these clear little plastic acrylic swing arms, or pivot points. Let's see, we just pry these off here. That's one. I'm going to switch to a little gripper to just break these back. Okay, I've got 3, and now 4. Okay, so all 4 of those clips on the outside are detached. Both the one in the back and on the side are removed. So we should be able to just pull this apart now, which we can. Okay, so we now have the pieces we need out of the $12 RC car. The rest of this gearbox we can just get rid of. We have the 2 tires to go on the rear. We have the wheels to go on the front. We have these little acrylic swing arm pivot point pieces. And then we have the control arm which connects them together. Now in the instructions you'll see you actually have to remove this control arm and turn it over so that it'll work in the Turtle Shell Racer High Power Edition. The other thing that I like to do is to actually paint these wheels so they match the shell color. This way they'll match the printed rear wheels. There has been some criticism that I am essentially buying a $12 RC car just for the tires, which is entirely true. In my studies I found that it's actually cheaper to buy this car and kill it just for the tires than it is to go out and try to buy 4 RC car tires from some hobby store or hobby website.